North Korean troops arrived to facilitate Russia last month, over 10,000 of them. Do you think that that decision is going to change the trajectory of the war?
I think in a lot of ways it already has. I think that was one of the crucial aspects of sort of pushing the Biden administration to make this decision when it did. Certainly that, and the expectation that Trump will take a potentially different approach to dealing with Kiev, and that giving Kiev sort of the maximal amount of U.S. permissions in the near term puts them in a better position. Now, I think there are many people who would argue that the U.S. is still holding Ukraine back from utilizing the full slate of its capabilities. And the Biden administration is likely doing so in an effort to try and avoid stepping over what they consider the line of unsustainable escalatory moves from the West.
Some on the right, though, have said that this decision, Donald Trump Jr. included, said that this decision by Biden could lead us into World War III. Do you think that's the case? Do you think this actually, or Biden's decision, opens the door for potential negotiations?
I think that when you look at people who are necessarily political adversaries, take their comments in the context in which they're provided. Donald Trump Jr. is never going to say anything that is anything short of a full-throated criticism of the Biden administration. Why would he? He's a political adversary. It pays him no benefit to compliment or to highlight something that Biden is potentially positive. He's always going to criticize him. I think that this is not going to be the thing which triggers either escalation into a much expanded conflict, nor will it be the thing which triggers negotiations. Our view is that there will likely be some temporary ceasefire in 2025, but that's going to be driven by the realities of war. Ukraine needs time to rearm, reassess, reequip. Russia, with Trump potentially pushing for some sort of ceasefire that potentially derives some concessions from the Ukrainians, will similarly be more open to coming to the table. We think that that's a temporary pause in the fighting, not a permanent solution, but it does suggest that that's coming, just maybe not as a result of this particular policy change.
Biden made this allowance when he's essentially a lame duck, just about 2 months until Donald Trump gets sworn in. So I want to talk about the timing here. Could Donald Trump repeal this once he's president? How will our relationship with Ukraine change once Donald Trump's in the White House?
Sure. So we're 2 months and 1 day out from Trump taking the White House. And this is not something that Trump would necessarily have to repeal. Depends on ongoing U.S. cooperation. As I mentioned, Ukraine's ability to hit targets inside Russia with these long-range munitions requires a high degree of U.S. targeting and intelligence sharing. So if that targeting data sharing suddenly is curtailed or is curtailed over time, that would diminish Ukraine's ability to move forward and prosecute these strikes. The U.S.-Ukrainian relationship will likely change pretty substantially when Trump takes office. We know and we expect that Trump's key policy goal is bringing about some sort of rapid conclusion to the conflict, even if it's only a temporary ceasefire. Our expectation is that that likely includes putting demands on Ukraine to offer up concessions, potentially around territory or other items, using that to try and incentivize Russia to come to the negotiating table. So the U.S. relationship will shift from what it is today, which is sort of almost unlimited public political support, saying this is always going to be negotiated on Kiev's terms, and situational or very nuanced military support behind the scenes, letting Ukraine strike some targets but not all, to a position of the U.S. pushing very publicly for a ceasefire, even if it comes with concessions that Ukraine would prefer maybe not make.